For me, right, when I first started doing this business, I'm very keen onto how the kabaya embroideries are done. So I actually approached a church friend of mine. I was told that she used to teach in Kuchang Girls' School, and she teaches the students how to do O-level hand embroidery for their arts and craft projects. So when she came to my shop, she taught me, and along the way, she actually gave me a very interesting insight that if I know how to do the embroideries and I know where the needle direction is going, so if I use the sewing machine, just assume that the needle is my hand, and I guide the needle to the direction of how I want the embroideries to be. So because of this insight, I actually went on to buy a lot of books on hand embroidery and actually study it. And over the period, I actually start to form my own notes on how to do the kabaya embroideries. There'll be one person that I would really want to credit, and that is my godmother, and her name is Jackie Sam. We started to do a lot of interesting things like how are the things done in the past and how can we do it today. So for example, like these two purses over here that we have done, is actually beadwork on velvet, which practically you can say nobody in Singapore and Malacca are actually doing this form of beadwork nowadays because they do not know how it is done. When it comes to doing hand embroidery, it's not just patience alone. You need a few things. Number one, you need to know the know-how on how to do the item, and you must have very good dexterity with your fingers on how to manipulate the threads and the beads onto your design. Okay, you really need to know your color scheme really very well also, because if you do not know how to match the colors properly, you wouldn't be able to get that nice Peranakan effect onto your artworks. We use a variety of materials in our embroidery work. For example, for beads, right, I actually import them from Czechoslovakia, Precocia, where they are still making glass beads till today. And for embroidery threads, sadly to say, it's almost impossible to find silk threads in Singapore nowadays. So sometimes I would use DMC cotton floss, and if I'm doing gold work, sometimes I will just go to Arab Street and buy some bullion wires and gold threads to do my craft work. I'm doing one of the most basic embroidery technique called couching. It's basically using gold threads or other surface materials, right? And we actually couch it over the embroidery on top of the design that we have drawn up there. There's a lot of cardboard pieces cut and pasted onto the design here. The cardboard pieces, when we do our couching work of the gold threads over, it creates a relief design which gives us a 3D feel when we finish our embroidery. Usually people who commission our kabayas, right, are people who are having events like their children are getting married, or they are attending a company event, or they are attending an event that is representing our country, which is Singapore. And of course, with these different groups of people, their requirements are of course very different. For example, when it comes to people getting married or they are attending company functions, they want to wear kabayas that is very colorful, and sometimes if they want to be the highlight, we will also commission by adding on Swarovski crystals onto the kabaya at the same time. And for people who wants to wear to represent Singapore, sometimes we would do kabayas with orchids or vendor orchids onto the kabaya itself. I've done a few signature pieces before. The opening of the Peranakan exhibition in Seoul, where I was commissioned to do a kabaya with the national flower of South Korea, which is the mugonghwa, which is the hibiscus. So practically, as a lover for satin stitch, Chinese embroidery style, I actually apply long short stitches onto doing the whole embroidery for the kabaya.